Hi there, how's everyone doing? I'm now ready to modify the sump pan. As seen in a previous video, the sway bar is the lowest point on the rear of the car. This gives me the possibility to extend the sump pan downwards at least 5 centimeters, thus increasing the oil capacity by about a litre. I'll be doing some other mods to decrease the amount of residual oil left in the pan after an oil change. Yes, you saw that black goo that had accumulated at the bottom of the pan? Ugh. It would be nice to get rid of this problem as well. So, really gungy. I will also try to design and build in some baffles, because even with more oil capacity, the oil can still slosh from side to side on the fast corners, and I don't ever want to see an oil starvation problem on this engine again. It gets far too expensive to rebuild my motor each time. Tack, 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 tack. Certainly very good. This thing would be quite useful to keep. It's the level sender for the oil, but we haven't got a computer or an ECU that can read this and integrate the information. So probably just block it up afterwards. So the idea is to cut the pan, raise the whole thing up 5 centimeters or the whole thing down. We've already measured. We can make the pan at least 5 centimeters deeper. And then on the inside, wherever the pickup comes, we're going to make it into a separated sump. Yes?
C'était pour demander si tu pouvais jouer à l'eau ou pas.
Oui, tout à l'heure, oui.
Non, parce qu'en fait, moi, cet après-midi, j'ai bloqué, donc ce matin, quoi. Avant midi, quoi.
Oui, ok, tout à l'heure, oui. D'ici une demi-heure, quelque chose comme ça?
Ouais, une demi-heure, moi, ça me va.
Ouais,
On manger.
okay. We're going to cut it just on this line here. Easier to weld up afterwards. The first thing to do is just mark up where we'll cut the pan. Just do a straight edge between the two lines. It doesn't stick, doesn't matter. It's really difficult to do things in front of the camera. That's good enough. When we get the metal cut, adjust. My idea is just to weld in a 5cm strip of steel to simply extend the depth of the sump pan. Alright, just cut it not next to the block. Don't want to get the new block all dirty. Once marked up at the cutting point, that will give the easiest straight insert point kind of thing. I cut the pan. No going back now. Sorry for the video quality, my camera literally froze over in a cold winter's day. At least the sound was recorded. Okay, while I let myself cut up the sump pan and freeze my bum off in the cold, a little explaining why I persist with this pan. Firstly, there are no readily available aftermarket sump pans for the 3800 motor. I could use a later Series 3 aluminium pan that seems to have the baffles incorporated, but its capacity is no more than the steel Series 2 pan. There may be a slight interference with the Fiero subframe as well, according to some of the posts on the forums. However, the real reason not to use the later pan is simply that it would cost too much to ship one to France, and we don't have any 3800s in the scrapyards here. The thickness of the steel of the pan is 1.2 millimeters. You can see here with the gauges. It's thinner than I thought. I decided to bolt the pan to the engine block so as to minimize distortion when welding. It does mean that the engine block can't be reassembled until the sump pan mods are finished. Don't want to risk putting swarf or dirt in a new engine with all those new components. But this isn't a rush job. I have all the winter to put the car back together. Ha ha ha, famous last words. Two centimeters. The depth of the bit I cut off. It's like 2.5 centimeters, so it's half a centimeter between the bottom of the pan and the intake, the inlet oil pickup. I think we'll just cut some strips in the metal we've got and see how it goes. The local DIY stores don't have a great selection of sheet steel here. The nearest I could find to 1.2mm was 1.5mm mild steel sheet. It'll have to do. You said 5 centimeters, 50mm we can go down. So I need to cut a strip of steel 50mm wide. Let's mark it out and then cut it with the angle grinder. And we're not going to do the grinder here and put lots of swarf and stuff inside the engine, so we're going to go and do the grinding outside. So from the sheet I bought, I cut 2 5cm strips. The process is to add the 5cm strip by butt welding to the cut oil pan. So here we go. Going to start welding in the 50mm extension. The way I'm doing it is I just put a piece of copper backing plate on the inside of the pan, and then the new strip of 5cm just clamped against the copper as well, flush, well, butt weld there. Just going to spot it and work our way around. I've got another piece of copper which we'll just place each time we do spot weld, and we'll just spot it, ding 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 ding, bend. This bend, for example, I just bent it round the outside edge of the existing pan to get the curve. There we'll just do it by hand, it's not much of a bend, again there. This bit, a bit more complicated, but once it's spotted there, the metal is quite soft, it's mild steel, so we'll just bend it round and spot weld it, tick 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 tick, and once it's all spotted then we weld it in continuously. But I want to get the whole strip all the way around with these two pieces. So there we go. Don't know where I'm going to put the camera so you can see me welding like that. Should be able to certainly see the first couple of welds. Ow! Copper's hot. Ow, ow, ow. I use a block of copper on the reverse side of the weld to stop getting a porous weld. The argon gas chases enough air out of the way with the copper backing, and the weld is acceptable for a sump pan. Wouldn't win any awards for prettiness though, and I'm sure on X-ray testing it would be absolute crap. But anyway, let's go. And continue tack by tack. it's lunchtime, so let's go and eat. Okay, this is where I'm at the moment. As you can see, I've got my extra glasses on, and kind of bent it round there. A little bit difficult here. Had to heat up the metal, get it to stretch a bit and then to shrink a bit at the bottom. Got it going around there. Got it nicely lined up here. Just going to finish tacking that piece, and then we're halfway round the extension on the Sump. I'm quite pleased with the overall result. It's got to all be welded up, of course, but starting to get there. Anyway, I'm not going to run the camera because it's very boring watching me tack and adjust and tack and adjust. It just uses up the memory of the camera. So anyway, there we go. I'll continue beep 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 beep, and the other half beep 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 beep, and there we are. And then we got the lid to stick on, and of course the oil pickup. Got some tube here, so I'm just going to extend that up until it's like 5 millimeters below the level of this. There we go. Good. Let's keep going. Okay, it's starting to bend up the second piece. It's going to be a bit tricky. It's going to weld it just there and there, and then we'll continue bending it around the shape. Okay, got it tacked all the way around. Got it meeting the other piece. Just going to mark it precisely, cut it off, and finish welding it up. Well, tacking it up. Time for a cup of tea. Now I finished that for now. Okay. Welded 47 millimeters of tube into my pickup. So that seems to be okay. Nicely welded up. Well, there I've pretty much bent everything up, adjusted it all. Some gaps somewhere, but pretty much good enough to weld the top on. A little bit of adjustment needed there, but I'm pretty happy with that. It's looking okay. Just going to tack it into place, and then we'll weld it all up. Don't think I'm going to bother running the camera while tacking because it takes an awful long time to do. Maybe just a couple, and watch a couple of spot welds, and then we'll turn the camera off. Continue on, tack by tack. Right, it's 5:30. I promised to make a hamburger for my daughter. So there we go. It's half tacked up. It's starting to looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. So, I'm going to call that a day for today. See you later. Lots and lots of tacks, a bit of hammering, and a generous use of vice grips and G-clamps. Do a little you can see the principle. You can go around little by little, stitching it together. So, there we go. Not going to waste loads of filming on this because it's all going to be the same thing for a long time. So we'll see when I get around to welding it all up. Tout à l'heure. For the continuous welding, the trick is not to weld up all one side in one go. I alternate between sides and positions in order to minimise the distortion. Again, I try to clamp a backing plate over the weld to hold in the shielding gas and limit any porous welds. The welding can take some time, so I'll just show the less boring parts, maybe speed it up with a bit of background music. See you later. Okay, it's actually 3 weeks later. I haven't done much welding at all, or any, so, because I've been doing work on the house. So today we're going to just finish welding up this bit here, and then and a bit here. Yes, got this part here to finish welding. I have to check out some of these welds. I see some pinholes. That looks a bit of a mess as well. And grind that back and re-weld it. And then we're just about done for the 5 centimeters difference. So anyway, let's get on with the welding. Yeah, the garage is a complete and utter pigsty. stuff everywhere because I've been fitting new things in the bathroom, so haven't had time to work on the car. So anyway, we'll put the camera down and get on with the work. Okay, this is the drain plug, and as you can see it's welded onto the inside. Actually, let the camera sit on it. And you can see from the bottom of the pan to the bottom edge of the drain plug when it's taken out, you've got at least a centimetre, 12 millimetres, 30 millimetres, maybe even 15 I would say. That means when you do the oil change, you always got like 1.5 centimetres of oil in the bottom of the pan that never gets changed, and that's why we had so much sludge when we stripped the engine down. The bottom of the pan was absolutely caked in sludge. So what I'm going to do is to cut out this oil plug, weld it on the outside, and try and get it as low as possible in the pan, maybe even shape very slightly the pan so it is tapered downwards towards this hole, so there'll be very little oil, especially if we when we do the oil change. We lift the car up. This part of the pan is towards the front or the back of the car, can't remember. Towards the back of the car. So we have to lift the front of the car up, angle it down, and that way we should be able to get most of the oil out each time. So anyway, I'm going to cut this out quite simply, weld it onto the outside. It doesn't matter if it sticks down a little bit, we've still got plenty of clearance. And yeah, there we go. So let's see if we can cut the damn thing out. So I just marked it out, square around the hole. I'm going to cut that watch from here into there. To make sure the insert doesn't fall off because its original weld fails, I've decided to weld all the way around the insert. It looks a lot nicer and certainly won't drop off now, even if it gets knocked from time to time. Welding's finished tonight, welded all the way around. Welded this up nicely, so it's like double welded. And if we have a look on the inside, I'm quite pleased. Need to clean all this up, and the next stage is to fit baffles to stop the oil sloshing from side to side. So we're going to double check where the pickup goes and kind of fit baffles to stop the oil running up there and running up the other side. That's for another day. See you later. Just been experimenting with a bit of cardboard to see how to make a baffle inside the thing. Can't really see that there. All roughly guarding 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and with a flap like that to stop the oil sloshing up and over. Depth 5 centimeters, which is the height of this anti-windage plate or windage thing. Goes down to there, so it should stop the stuff flushing over. A gap wide enough for the sump pickup to go into, and there we go. I'll try and finish cutting that up and seeing how it works. Wow. Look at that fitment. If that's not a good baffle, I don't know what is. The other one is already ready for its flappy, flippy, flappy bit. And look at that. All done by eye. Can't forget to bend this the other way, like this. Bend. Bend this way. Roughly cut. First. Don't forget, bend this way. I just know the camera's going to fall in there. Well, I'm going to just grind this thing up and fit it. It's going to get boring watching all that, so turn the camera off. Okay, I've got 6 minutes of SD card left in the camera. So I've made the two baffles. Next stage is to cut out a slot and put the flippy flappy bits. But they're okay, and they're pretty crude. As you can see, I messed up the angle there, but who cares? I can always bodge it up with a bit of weld. So they're ready to be cut and flaps, hinged flaps put into them. But yeah, it's okay. I'm pleased with that. That's, as we'd envisaged. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And next stage tomorrow. Oh, there you go. For the question concerning the baffles, I think that 2 baffles should do the trick. That should mean 2/3 of the oil will stay near the pickup, with only 1/3 being sloshed up the side of the oil pan at any one time. The gates, the lift, so cut out a piece of the plate, weld it to this, and weld that on like that. You know what, it's going to take some time to think this through. I'll refilm it once I've figured out how to cut everything. Okay, I kind of figured out how to do the baffles and the traps. So already drilled them, made one of them, well nearly made one of them. So I'll show you how I do it for the next one. Measure off the last one, we're down 9 centimeters from the top. Still filming? Can't see the bit of blue light. Okay, as you can see, both have been cut, got a load of holes in there, and we're just going to weld these on like that. Of course we'll fill up the holes where the screws would have gone. The other holes will be where we weld, just to make the 3 little tacks, spot welds. And if I put the camera like this, hopefully you can see. There's some rubbish out the way, but then we'll have just flippy flappy things like this. Oil comes this way, shuts it. Oil comes from the other side, opens it, shut, open, shut. So, just to weld it up and to clean it up. And once these two are welded up, spot weld it into the pan. But right now it's time for a cup of tea. Now, while I weld up the holes in these little doors and discover that they are zinc plated, which is totally messing up my welds, by the way. Damn, the metal is zinc coated. Let's talk about my baffle design. Yes, they are just door hinges that you could buy at any DIY hardware store. I finally drilled holes instead of cutting out a slot because drilling is easier than trying to cut in the middle of the sheet without overshooting the lines with the big old cutting disc. I don't have the bracketry skills of the Project Binky guys. There are 5 10mm holes in each baffle, 10.5mm holes to be precise, but I rounded down for eventual manufacturing errors and easier calculations. So, each 10mm hole can flow about 11.36 litres per minute at atmospheric pressure. So 10 holes can flow about 113.6 litres per minute at 1 bar atmospheric pressure. A typical engine needs 10 to 15 litres of oil for lubrication. And I found a nice little graphic here. About 1/10 of the flow capacity of my baffles. So my 10 holes, plus all little gaps, are more than enough to feed the oil pump, even if 1/3 is lost by the oil moving away in the high-speed bends. In fact, it will only be 5 holes at any one time on the bends, and 5 holes equals nearly 57 litres a minute, so still way above the 15 litres per minute max that the engine needs. So everything on fire. Aïe! Come on, just spot the flame. Ah. Good. You need these glasses. Flippy flappy. Yay. Flippy Flappy. Okay, the idea of these little drainways there, a little bit when the engine is at an angle and we're draining the fluid out, the last bits can come out, and also 4 of these equals just about one of those, and one of those calculated normally can feed the oil pump. So if all is bad and these are blocked, these 1, 2, 3, 4 on the corners will allow enough oil in to feed the oil pump. So it's just to make sure. Okay, first one's in place. Just going to spot weld it there, there. 4 good welds should hold it in place nicely. Maybe just a little bit fierce, less energy. Work with and don't screw up. Tungsten! Oh, should I remake another tungsten? Okay, reground another tungsten. Let's try again. Clean this thing, but there's always oil in it. I don't have my welds. Well, I have to do it. It's not pretty. I have to do it. C'est chiant, c'est chiant. Come on. Come on. Where the fuck are well? Okay, my two baffles are welded into place. Jeez, it's not very pretty, but it'll hold. Probably going to, I don't know if I'll bother welding another strip here. Stop it sloshing up there. Something about this level. Possibly do the same at this level as well. It will stop when we're really going around a hard corner, stop the oil going right up back into the crankcase area. And well, it'll do for now. Anyway, I've had enough welding for one day. It's bloody difficult to weld this pan up. It seems to be made out of two pieces of metal fused together, and whatever's in between the two pieces of metal blows out and blows the welds to pieces. Anyway, that's enough for today, and that's it. get this thing finished. Okay, made a couple of extra horizontal baffles to stop the oil sloshing up and over. Going to weld this one in, then weld this one in like that, and probably when we're finished we're going to weld a strip that goes across and kind of goes all the way around the edge of the pan. Help it keep it in with what's left. We haven't got much steel left, but there we go. Let's get on with it. I think the paint is going to block up a lot of holes in the bad welding. Whatever. 1, 2. Don't look at the welds. That'll do for now. Just welding in around the edges here. Spot, 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 spot. Don't know if you want to watch this. Put the camera somewhere to be seen. And there's me wanting to be a professional cameraman. Made a mess of it. There you go. That should be cool. Oh yeah, I put a bigger ceramic on the end, diffuse and put a bit more of the gas. Might make the welds a little bit less likely to blow out. Okay, 1, 2, done. 3, 4, 5, 6. It's rather boring. I'll make them up, weld them in, have a look at it when I've finished. So, loaded in that one. These ones, of course, look a bit too small. This is another 5mm strip. I miscalculated it, but doesn't matter, I'll just add that afterwards. Go do the same on this side, another piece there, another piece there, another piece there, and probably 2 more little strips on these returns here, because again, I don't know why, but it bent up. It was supposed to be 2 centimeters, it's actually 1.5, so a little strip there to make it the same, and that will do. Anyway, run out of steel to do this, so got to go and buy some more steel, and it's also very cold, so I'm going to call it a day for today. It's encore. As again, as another week has gone by, I'm going to finish putting in the strips in this. All I could find was a measly piece of angle at the local DIY shop, so I flattened it out and mark it up and cut out some strips and just add a strip there, a strip here, a strip there, and just double up the bits there that are a bit out of shape. So there you go. If you want, you can watch me cut it up and weld it in. Okay, it's all welded up. And got nice even baffles all the way around. Yeah, the weld's not that great. Who cares? It's strong, it won't fall apart, and there are no holes in the sump pan, so we'll just check that it all fits back on top of there. Otherwise, that's going to be a bit of a pain if it doesn't fit. Flippy flappies are still flippy flapping. Oh. Haha. Good job we checked. Must be touching just there. prefer to just bend it out of the way than cut it, because I don't want to fill up the sump pan with more swarf than is necessary. If I bend it out of the way, it will just form around the pipe and still act as a splash retainer. So it's going to make noise. There. Super bien. Quick and dirty modification. See if it fits again. Easy. That's okay. Plenty of movement. So it's not touching. Good. Now, just to clean it and paint it. And then it's finished. And we can get on with reassembling the rest of the engine. It's about bloody time, huh? Good enough for a sump pan, I think. Yep. Oh, hi there. Today we're going to build, or rebuild, the oil pan. Make it 5 centimeters deeper, and if we got a bit more time, I'll put some baffles inside, so the oil won't slosh about as much. Ah, that was a crappy intro again. Let's just get on with it.